All right. Welcome to Simple Healthy Life, where our goal is to have real, insightful conversations on topics that we find interesting. And today, MJ, I thought that we would talk about self-actualization. And so, not even just self-actualization, in fact, the paradox of self-actualization. So first I want to start with, what is self-actualization? And basically it's realizing yourself to its fullest potential. So being your best self, right? The paradox of it is that the thought alone creates a tension that pulls you away from your efforts to be your best self, right? Because as you start thinking, what does it look like to be my best self? You start comparing yourself more. You start checking boxes that maybe don't feel right. Perhaps you don't live as authentically as you potentially may, just generally.
Because you're striving for something?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're too much forward looking, and you're comparing yourself against ideals. And in fact, the very thought alone, I need to be my best self, means that you're not good enough yet. And I think it's kind of compelling because obviously we talk about a lot of like self-development-y kind of things. And I think it's very easy to get trapped in that. It's very easy to get trapped in, I'm not good enough yet, so I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to do X, Y, Z. I'm going to do all the things. And then eventually when I'm my best self, then I'll be I'll be accepting of myself, and I'll be good enough.
So what you said there at the end is the part that I think is the most important. Eventually, I will accept myself.
Mm-hmm.
Why, I can tell you that I struggle with this personally. I think I can probably give you countless examples of, for me personally, like, I want to do this better. I want to be better at this. My goal is to do this. And eventually I will accept myself. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. But I think that it's so paradoxical, because the fact that we are discussing this, the fact that you have those thoughts, to your point, is like, one, yes, it does mean that it does give you this feeling that you're not the way you want to be, right? But also, it's an amazing opportunity for you to say, I can be here. I can choose to be. I'm not out hunting for my meal. I'm not trying to just put a roof over my head. I'm not doing these like specific, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like I have it good enough to say, okay, now that I have all these things, now I want to try to be my best self. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
you're almost referring to like Maslow, like, okay, like, I have my basic needs met essentially.
Yes.
And now I can even consider being my best self.
Yes. Yeah. Right. And it's like you said, how paradoxical is that? Because you don't think about it that way. You just go, no, okay, well, okay, here I am. I know that everything that I've already done is where it is, and I'm good, and now time to become better. So I guess it's more just it's like we did that podcast on discipline versus punishment, right? It's almost like we're almost saying the same thing here. Like, how do you want to approach this? How do you want to approach becoming your best self, right? We want to. We both do, and the people listening to this podcast, they want to too. That's why they're listening. Right. So it almost is more important to talk about, how do you approach it?
Yeah. How do you approach the entirety of the concept of self-development without invaluing yourself at the same time?
Yeah, without feeling less than or comparative, right? What do they say? The comparison is the thief of joy, right? Like, who are you comparing yourself to? Like, I know for me, we talk about jiu-jitsu, like, I'm comparing myself to the people that have belts that are different colors than mine, right? Like, and not the guy that couldn't do an armbar 6 months ago.
Right.
Like, I'm not, he's gone. We don't even care about him anymore. We're not worried about that. Now we're trying to figure out how to become better, how to compare myself to the rest of the people in the gym.
Right.
And that is paradoxical for me, because some days I go in and I go, I'm just going to do my thing and be my best self. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to lift. I'm going to feel good. And some days I go in there and I go, oh man, I wish I was already squatting 315. I should be. I've been doing this long enough.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of people deal with that.
Yeah. I think oftentimes our comparison groups are really unfair, right? Even taking jiu-jitsu as an example, just because it's one I know the best. I'll roll with lower belts, and some of them will be really great at one specific aspect of jiu-jitsu, right? And I might, as I roll with them and kind of give them a little tip afterwards, or sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But the tip might often be, don't play guard anymore. Like, you're starting on top. And what I mean by that is their guard game is actually really good, and they need to focus on a different area, right? And, I think it's hard when you're that person receiving that advice, and you're like, well, why am I so bad at jiu-jitsu that I have to now start on top, or I should be, I'm getting this advice to now do it differently, when in fact they're doing really well, comparatively for that specific thing. And same thing with like weightlifting, right? You might not squat 315 or whatever, 425 or anything like that, but maybe your deadlift is really great. Maybe you're developed in another sense. And I think part of that like self-acceptance thing is recognizing that it's so hard to actually fairly compare yourselves that it's not even worth the effort, right? If you take one singular aspect, arm bars at jiu-jitsu, this other blue belt is very good at them, and here I am, I don't even know how to do it. But they worked on it, and you didn't, and you worked on different things. You spent your time differently, and that's okay.
Well, I have one for you that's a little different, and it's the same topic, but a different example, and it lives in my mind. I know that I'm somebody that has practiced mental resilience, health, meditation. I mean, let's face it, that's what I have been working on. But I fail sometimes. Mm-hmm. I have days where I'm on repeat and I can't get something out of my mind. I have moments where I lose my temper and don't see the big picture. I have countless examples in the recent past of becoming overwhelmed and frustrated. And I go back to this. I should be better because I put in the work, because I know the right answer, because I'm on the path, because I'm learning. And I'll tell you, it doesn't help. Mm-hmm. It makes it worse, I think. I don't have anything to compare it to. But it's like this, exactly what you said about this, like, it's almost like the goal for me is to be my best self. And whenever I fall short of that goal, I feel as though, why bother? Why bother? I did all this work, and look at me. I'm no better than the person that just road raged. I'm no better than the person that can't keep it together. And I think that when I'm in my right mind, I know this is not the right way to think. I understand, and I'm calm and collected, and say, oh, well, that was silly thoughts. Mm-hmm. Those don't make any sense. Why would I don't need those. But when I'm not, I feel like I'm no better than the 13-year-old version of me kicking his, screaming, and punching his wall. So, and that's me comparing myself to old me, to young me, to you, to the rest of the world.
To an ideal, utilitarian kind of like perspective, or utopian kind of like perspective, is that how do you even compare? Like, I work on, emotional intelligence, meditation, peace, all those kinds of things. How do you even compare that? Yeah. Right? It's like an impossible task to fairly compare yourself, which I think is the point here, is that it's impossible. There's no fair comparison group. Clone yourself, maybe. You clone yourself, they live the same life as you, and they're going down the exact same route as you, and you make slightly different choices. Then you can maybe compare yourself, like, oh, I'm doing better than Claude today. Screw that guy. That guy's a chump, because they have the same context. But the context, it determines everything. Right? You can't determine the quality of the sailor if they're sailing in two different seas, essentially. And, part of it is just accepting that you are where you are, and there's literally no changing who you are in each moment, which I think is a hard thought for us, because we talk about this like self-development-y kind of thing all the time. But the fact is, like, you can't get an additional tidbit of information that makes you better. You can't decide to be better in this moment. You can't. You can only aim to have experiences that over time you hope then change how you react to the road rage, or perform in jiu-jitsu, or perform at the gym, or perform with health, or whatever.
So how do you battle it? How do you battle this paradox, right? This desire to get better while reminding yourself that you are enough. Right? I think we had Lauren Folan on, and she'd always say, it was one of her things that she would say, even when she was teaching me yoga, would say, "You are enough. Right now, you are enough." Mm-hmm. How do you battle that? What's something that maybe people could do to say, like, this is my path. I know I'm on it. I know I'm, to your point, not where I want to be, but I'm currently enough.
Well, I think telling yourself that, like, I am who I am right now, and that is legitimately perfect. And while you might be unhappy with how things specifically go, I think there are a couple different ways that we can still work on ourselves while being accepting of ourselves at the same time, right? Being real present, right? Like we talk about like meditation and whatnot, like being entirely present in the moment whenever there's distraction, or whenever things are kind of complicated or emotionally tumultuous. Being super present is one way that you can also be very authentic with yourself, and I think that's why we talk so much about it, about the work, meditation, breathing, et cetera, because it's the way towards a little bit of peace, at least, peace of mind, at least.
What about journaling? What about writing down your thoughts and looking at them? I know this is you're a big proponent of journaling, and it's something that I try to be consistent with. What do you think about that when it comes from this perspective, like starting with the words, my goal is to, and then finishing with, also, I am good at. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think words are super powerful, right? And actually, I have a kind of an interesting story. I was talking with someone the other day, a client, and they were just kind of reviewing some of their work with a therapist, and they were saying that they actually have a really hard time speaking certain words because they're afraid that the universe will hear them and then act upon it, right? So the example was, I'm very afraid that my cat will die, or something like that. And they expressed a lot of fear over that, saying that, because they didn't want the universe to hear and then be like, oh, your cat's dead.
Yeah.
And I thought about that, and I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't think words have that power. I don't think words shape the universe as much as they shape our identity. And so I think actions influence the universe, words influence identity. So you can speak directly to like your identity. And so when we have thoughts like, I'm not good enough, I need to be better, I need to do this differently, at its core, you're speaking to the identity, and you're saying exactly that. I'm not good enough. I'm never going to be good enough. My identity as it is right now is never going to be good enough. And so I think when you journal, you have an opportunity to use those words to speak to your identity. And because of that, it can be very precarious. You can journal effectively, and you can journal completely ineffectively. In fact, it could be probably harmful to some people. And there's research suggesting that some people journal, and it's actually worse for their mental health, because they sit there and they ruminate. This bad thing happened to me, and it's so bad, and bad things always happen to me, and I'll never get over it. And blah, 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 blah. There's actually, I don't know if did you see the, I think it was like a Facebook post by Kobe at one point, and he was talking about his, I think he tore his Achilles, and it's such a great post. I wish I could, maybe we should bring it up. Yeah, maybe,
let's look it up.
Yeah, let's look that up. But basically, the gist of it is that he had just torn his Achilles or had some major injury during a game. And the Facebook post or post itself is so raw, and he starts going in. He says, something along the lines of, why does this have to happen to me? This is the worst. I'm never going to recover, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then what happens is you can see the thought, right? And this is kind of what probably makes Kobe Bryant so effective, is you can see his thought pattern shift towards the end of the post. And it goes from very like victim mentality to, I got this, Mamba mentality. I'm going to recover. I've always recovered, and I've always come back stronger when I have. And so I thought that was like a great example of just journaling. And it was put there right in front of us on a public forum.
All right, so we found the post from Kobe, and it's a little long, but I think it's I practice my public reading skills. Mm-hmm. So this is the post from Kobe Bryant right after he tore his Achilles. This is such BS. All the training and sacrifice just flew out the window with one step that I've done millions of times. The frustration is unbearable. The anger is rage. Why the hell did this happen? Makes no damn sense. Now I'm supposed to come back from this and be the same player or better at 35? How in the world am I supposed to do that? I have no clue. Do I have the consistent will to overcome this thing? Maybe I should break out the rocking chair and reminisce on the career that was. Maybe this is how my book ends. Maybe Father Time has defeated me. Then again, maybe not. It's 3:30 a.m. My foot feels like dead weight. My head is spinning from the pain meds, and I'm wide awake. Forgive my venting, but what's the purpose of social media if I won't bring it to the real, no image? Feels good to vent, let it out, to feel as if this is the worst thing ever. Because after all the venting, a real perspective sets in. There are far greater issues or challenges in the world than a torn Achilles. Stop feeling sorry for yourself, find the silver lining, and get to work with the same belief, same drive, and same conviction as ever. One day, the beginning of a new career journey will commence. Today is not that day. If you see me in a fight with a bear, pray for the bear. I've always loved that quote. That's Mamba mentality. We don't quit, we don't cower, we don't run. We endure and conquer. I know it's a long Facebook post, but I'm venting, LOL. Maybe now I can actually get some sleep and be excited for surgery tomorrow. The first step of a new challenge. Guess I will be the Coach Vino the rest of the season. I have faith in my teammates that will come through. Thank you for all the prayers and love and support. Much love. Mamba out.
I love that.
I got to tell you, the thing that really hits home with me is the line. I think I even maybe messed up reading it, but he gets done saying how, maybe Father Time will defeat him, but then he says, it feels good to vent. It feels good to feel like this is the worst thing ever.
Why does that resonate so much?
I think it resonates with me because what we do when we have these negative emotions or these emotions that really challenge us, we don't feel them. We push them down and we go, I'm not going to feel that. That's not right. That's not the way it should be. I shouldn't be feeling this way. When the fact is, yeah, you should. You should be feeling that way. That's the way you feel. And if you feel it and really feel it and let it be so in your bones that you can cry and sob, that's the way the body works. You can start to move past it then. instead of like holding it down there and keeping it tucked away and having it be lingering all the time. And I know that that's something that I know I need to work on. And I know it's something that people, when we talk about that and say it, people will go, oh, I don't know about that. It's probably not, maybe not for me. But I know it's accurate. I know it's true. Allowing yourself to feel these way is kind of the first step in the healing journey.
Yeah, that's what makes it. It's what makes it real, and it's accepting, right? Like, it's very accepting of oneself to say, well, this is how I'm feeling. This doesn't define my path, but it is how I'm feeling. And I think, what's so beautiful about that post is you don't often see that kind of stuff, especially from, people at his level. You don't often see, this is the worst thing in the world. I'm feeling enraged by this, stuff that an onlooker can kind of say, well, you're Kobe, like you're gonna heal, man. You got all the resources, and we know this as like an onlooker, but it's nice to see someone who also knows that still feel, because that's important.
Yeah.
And then how he kind of shifts to the end there, and that is also true, that he's going to come back, and he does. In fact, after, well, I mean, he does for a certain period, a certain amount of time.
He finished his career very well.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, I think that was it's kind of a great example of accepting yourself for where you're at, and then also knowing that you still have there's still things to do. And so, like, self-actualization in reality, it seems to be a product of living authentically and wholeheartedly in the present. And so that's why we always say, like, please meditate and practice that and journal and reflect and breathe, so that you can be part of the moment and not part of the, like, the cloud of thought. And there's a couple different things that seem to affect self-actualization, and I have them here. And the first one would be meaningful work. So doing things that you find meaningful to yourself. Having strong, nurtured relationships.
Can we stop
Sure.
at that
Yeah,
first
yeah.
one? Meaningful work. Like, I think that when we talk about this paradoxical, right? I'll be better when, like, I'll be happy when I'm done with high school. I'll be happy when I'm done with college. I'll be happy when I retire, right? That's not the feeling you get when you're doing meaningful work, right? Like, no one's like, yeah, you're like, man, I'll be happy when I'm done digging this hole. Yes. But not when you're like sitting talking to somebody and you're really like holding space, or you're really helping somebody. You're never like, oh, I'll be happy when this conversation's over. No, you're
Right.
ingrained in it. You're in it.
Yeah.
And I think that is a part that most people just miss. And if you're not getting meaningful work from your day job, quote unquote, maybe there's an opportunity for you to find meaningful work somewhere else. But go on.
Well, I'd also like to add that you can cultivate meaning in all work too. And so that's another kind of like trap, I think, for a lot of people, is that, we're doing a job that we don't see the meaning in. You said digging holes. Like, what's the meaning in this? I'm just digging holes, right? Kind of like even that movie, right? Like, hole. Like,
Did you ever hear this? It's not a fable. It's the story about the farmer that finds the best the best helper ever.
I don't think so.
So this farmer's he's looking for a helper, and one day this dude shows up, and he's like, I need you're going to dig post holes today. And the guy's like, sweet, I'm going to go dig some post holes. And he digs more post holes and gets more fence put up than anybody that he's ever seen. And then the next day he's like, all right, well, now I need you to plow this field. And the dude goes out and he plows the field, and he plows more field than anybody's ever plowed. Then the third day, the guy goes, okay, well, man, you're so good at these two things. What I need you to do, I need you to sort these potatoes. We got all these potatoes out, and I need you to sort them. The ones that look, small are going into this pile, and then this one's for cooking, and this one's for replanting, and these ones are for the trash. And at the end of the day, the guy quits. The guy goes, you can't quit. You're the best worker I've ever had. He goes, listen, I'm good with the digging of the holes and the plowing of the field, but this potato business is decision after decision after decision. And essentially what he's saying is he found meaning in this work of digging holes and working his body and being in the moment, and just that's what he liked to do. But he did not want to be the guy deciding which potatoes were going in which pile. And I think that's kind of an interesting thing to think about when you see people that are in a job that maybe you wouldn't be interested in, or you're doing a job that you're not interested in because you're, for whatever reason. I think there's Alan Watts talks about this, and that's that's who I got that from. Yeah. So, anyways, I thought that was an interesting thing. I'm reminded of it from time to time.
Yeah. No, I think that's interesting, right? Yeah, you can. I mean, nonetheless, finding meaning in any kind of work, and of course, like always, my favorite book, Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. I mean, it's a must read. You have to read this book because it's like, so many people actually, when they read it, they cite it as being it's like a life-changing book. To see this man, absolutely, the perspective of someone just in the worst conditions imaginable, the worst. Like it doesn't really. I haven't read an account of worse conditions, to be honest with you, and here he is like finding meaning in that, right? And so proof that human beings can find meaning in the most miserable situation, right? And so very important to find that meaning. Very important to nurture your relationships. Spend some time, put some effort into it, right? Make sure there's kind of like a back and forth there, right? Curiosity, embrace curiosity. Try to learn when you can, even in situations where you feel uncomfortable. Like, I don't know what's going on here. Well, maybe that's just a situation for you to learn in. Embrace passion. We had that podcast on passion and how to cultivate passion. So, maybe listen to that and then cultivate your own passions. Which a little hint: curiosity is a big part of that. Creation, making sure to express and create. I think that's a big part of self-actualization. And then, of course, struggle and exploration. Right? There is no self-actualization without some amount of friction.
The irony here is everything you just said is all present moment stuff.
Yep.
None of it is about becoming the best version of yourself. None of it is about in the future I will. It's all, everything you just listed there is in the moment. I am present. I am curious. I am interested. I find purpose. And as you progress through that, you'll be able to say, I feel like I'm the best version of myself.
Another big part of it too is to stop performing for external approval.
So hard.
Yeah.
So hard. Because we want people to like us. Well, I'll speak for myself. I want people to like me. And I find it challenging when they don't. And I wonder why they don't. I know deep down that it doesn't matter. And it's most likely them, not me. In fact, the Four Agreements teaches us that. But it goes back to that point we made earlier, where when I'm living from a place of, if I'm living from the place where I want to be living, none of that stuff bothers me. When I'm not living from that place where I want to be living, all of that stuff challenges me.
Yeah. It's such an interesting thing. Carol Dweck, who does research on growth mindset and fixed mindset, she wrote a book called Mindset. And go figure.
Go figure.
One of my favorite quotes of hers in that book, and I'm going to paraphrase to a great degree this quote. It goes something along the lines of, we spend so much energy fabricating an illusion of ourselves, pretending to be so great at something, pretending to be so great at whatever it is. And this is, and we see it on social media. We fabricate, how much fun we're having, how much friends we have, how much, how deep our relationships are, how much we try and put work and, we grind, we fabricate all of that, loosely the general we, and yet we could just take all that energy and actually put it into the work, right? To growing, to being more growth mindset oriented. And I love that. I'm like, yeah, it's so true. It's so true. So many people do spend so much energy like looking for constant external approval through, this post and that post and this kind of show, when just take all that and put it into something meaningful, and all of that will come very naturally.
Take all that and go back to that list you just read and pick one of those and see if you can work on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's well said.
Yeah. Recognizing you don't have to prove anything.
I read something recently that was like, I'm going to butcher it, but essentially like the people that post how much they love their like significant other, like every time, are like the ones that end up, divorced. And
there's got to be some correlation.
There's got to be some correlation. Yeah. And I'm not even going to say it's some stupid percentage, but there was like a percentage on the post, and I just remember being like, I see it. I don't know if it's accurate or not, but I can kind of see where it's going. Why don't you just tell them?
Yeah. Right.
Like, okay, thank you for telling me how much you love your daughter, but why don't you tell them?
Yeah, I've never understood that. I mean, I think in some ways, like every now and again, I think I post things here and there. But yeah, like it's a PDA, and what purpose does that actually serve? I think sometimes it's purposeful as a marriage or other kind of like commitment ceremony is purposeful. It's like, I love you, and the world knows it. But once people already know, once you've already committed to that, like I think it's okay. I think you can forego some of that.
That's my style too.
Yeah, the other thing that I think is really important and for this self-actualization topic is making sure to commit fully and seriously to the things that you do, but not becoming trapped in the ego of the outcome. And so provide your inputs very, very seriously, very fully. Go to the gym, train jiu-jitsu, make good meals, wake up early, whatever the things, read books, whatever the inputs are, but don't be trapped by how the outcomes present themselves, because they often present in ways that you can't necessarily measure. You can't compare to most outcomes. And so I think we often become trapped by that, and we then say, well, I did all this work in the gym, and I don't see anything. Well, just do it longer.
All right, so this is it for me. You wrapped it up nicely. So you might have more, but for me, you really hit home the paradox, and the way to escape the paradox of self-actualization is to allow yourself to not worry about the outcome, right? Just be working on it in silence, in quiet. Just, you know what I'm doing? I am working on becoming the best version of myself at all times, every day. And when I fail, I'll pick myself up. And when I slow down, I'll speed myself up. And when I'm doing either of those things, I will do them with grace. Mm-hmm. Because the outcome, there's no outcome. Mm-hmm. There's no arrival date. There's no retirement date. Mm-hmm. There's no black belt. Because when you get to the black belt, then there's the black belt with the stripes, mm-hmm. right? There's just working on becoming the best version of myself. And I think that really hits home for me. So maybe anybody listening, I hope that I was able to articulate that properly.
Perfect. Yeah. It's almost like self-actualization is a state of being. You are self-actualized if you're accepting and working on that. Great. Awesome. Well, yeah, please drop us a follow, drop us a comment, drop us whatever interactions are available to you in each moment. We love to see it. If you have any other thoughts, please share them, and then we'll catch you next time.